Traditional. Appreciate you being here, man. Big game. How significant do you think the transfers on the defensive line will be compared to the players who've had time to grow now, like a Farmer Lions Turner?
Well, I think it's going good. Competition breeds getting to the competition breeds what we want the standard to be. Everybody saw what the standard was on Monday. If you did not witness that, that is yeah, that was a thorough butt whooping. But how do you get to that level? The only way to do that is to see that day in and day out with competition. So you've got to do that. And one of the things that I noticed last season, it was so much emphasis put in the offensive trenches. One thing that Coach Atkins he went and got, people don't realize this. We got 10 new faces on the offensive line last season. Now he went back and got 5 more, but what I'm saying is there were 10 players. That's 2 units that he replaced on the offensive line to make sure that they brought in the proper competition. And what I told people is what I want to see in this season coming up, the 2023 season, is us to take that same emphasis and put it on the defensive line. And also coupled with Mike Norvell's biggest recruiting challenge was going to be to keep the guys here that could go to the NFL. Keep them from going and pursuing their talents to the next level. But when you look at Fisk, who was considered one of the best D-line prospects, he's giving you something at the 3 technique that you haven't really been able to have, and giving you more depth at the defensive tackle position. Farmer, compare that with Farmer, who's been there for so long, but now Farmer's starting to come into his own, starting to learn how to play the defensive tackle position a little bit better. If you can get Darrell Jackson his clearance, which is, I guess, it was up in the air up until recently about that young man and what he was going to be able to do at Florida State. Excuse me. He's going to come in and give you a big body that you got to double team. If you can get guaranteed double teams from your interior linemen, it ain't but 5 offensive linemen unless you bring a tight end in there. So that means you got one-on-one situations. With Jared Verse, one of the best defensive ends returning in the nation, Patrick Payton, ACC Rookie of the Year, Byron Turner coming in. You've got Gilbert. That's not including Derek McClendon. That's not including wave after wave of guy. Lyons is a kid who I expect more. Malcolm Ray is a guy that's either going to have to crap or get off the pot. And this is where it becomes tough because you don't ever want these guys to hit the portal. I don't believe that guys who hit the portal are afraid of competition. I just believe the cream rises to the top. And the only way you can play is to play. And if somebody beats you out, that's just what it is. But right now, for the first time in a long time, we're talking about people beating people out. And there's a kid that came in last year's class, was supposed to be in this class, was a 4-star defensive tackle in this class, early enrolled, ended up not being able to, some things ended up happening. And I am not even going to pretend to say his last name, but it's Ayo something Nigerian. That's a grown man. Ayo was big when I saw him last year at 17 when he first enrolled. He has figured out how to get more chiseled. He has been embracing Coach Storm's offense and the nutrition program. That boy looked like a grown man. He reminds me of one of my teammates. And I'm hesitant on saying this because this was a top 20 pick, this guy. Broderick Bunkley is who he reminds me of, with how his body type is, his musculature, how heavy his hands are, how strong he is. I heard nothing but great things about him during practice with what he was able to bring to the offensive line. So I think Odell, for quite some time, like for the first time in quite some time, has cats. And when you got cats, it's a lot of things you can do with. And when you have the schedule that Florida State has coming up, where literally your only competition, only competitive game is your first game. If you want to, maybe a rivalry game in Miami, then you got Clemson. Like it's if you can get past that first hurdle with this talent, this depth, you got to have the expectations, man. Expectations are going to be had. So rightfully so. It's exciting times, and especially across that defensive line. The defense should be a lot more fun to watch this next season.